many hearts have you broken with those great big beautiful eyes? Those great big beautiful eyes that tell such beautiful lies.
How many times have you kissed somebody like you kissed me then? I don't.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and all ships at sea. We interrupt this broadcast to bring you an important message from the Prepared Mind Network.
I talked to a student recently at one of our woke college campuses who said she is required in every class to introduce herself and to give her pronouns. Well, I'm Ted Cruz, and my pronoun is kiss my ass.
Well, guess what? It is Tuesday. And it is getting too crazy out there, folks. Some big things are happening right now behind the scenes, but a lot of things we're actually getting to see. And I think that Biden, Joe Biden, not James Biden, not Hunter Biden, not whoever the heck Biden's married to, but Joe Biden, I think he's getting ready to pull the parachute. He came out today and said, with respect to Trump, that he doesn't deserve to be president, quote, whether or not I'm running. What is that supposed to mean, Mr. Biden? Whether or not I'm running? Sounds like he may not be running. Is that a slip, a faux pas, a Biden-esque comment? It sounds to me like he knows it's going to happen, and it was kind of a slip, if you will, a slip of the tongue. But speaking of slips of the tongue, Biden's wife, Melissa Cohen Biden, there's that name again, Cohen, kind of like Michael Cohen, who stole from Trump and then shit on him and ratted on him. Wow. So Hunter Biden's wife called another spectator at the Hunter Biden trial. That's right. Hunter Biden he's been on trial for weapons charges and other problems. But she, Melissa Cohen Biden, flipped out and screamed, "Nazi piece of shit." That was not a slip of the tongue on her part. The appropriate response, though, to her, even though the former Trump aide said nothing in response, the appropriate response would have been, "I know you are, but what am I?" And taking a page from the Pee Wee Herman script, or possibly takes one to know one. And I want to know why anyone would stay married to Hunter. Hunter the coke addict, Hunter the crack addict, Hunter the hooker addict, and Hunter the weed addict. That dude is just amazing. Amazing. Can you imagine being that much of a criminal, in that much spotlight all the time, and knowing that the media is going to cover for you and hide you and protect you, and your daddy is the president? Wow, folks. Wow. I mean, Joe Biden, he's one tough old dude, isn't he? He's made it into his 80s. He's had an entire lifetime of public service, of lying and then lying and then lying some more. Anyways, today Joe got angry, folks. His dementia is really starting to make a public appearance. He screamed at a reporter who questioned his age and says, "I can take you too." It's like, where are you going to take him, Joe? Are you going to take him to dinner? But he meant, he can beat his ass. He can beat him up. He can duke it out with him. Well, it is a big, big mess out there. And please forgive me, I have one heck of a headache today. Whew. No, so yeah, Dementia Joe telling people that he can take them. He can take them. And just so you know, right, you register for the selective services when you turn 18 as a male. You have to sign up. You have to tell the government that you're alive. Isn't that interesting? You have to tell the government that you're alive, like they don't know you're alive if you turn 18 and you've had a job and paying taxes. Anyways, it's been like that forever. But a Democrat, a former Army officer who is a Democrat, lets you know how the Pentagon works there, right? Is suggesting that we have automatic draft registration. That's right, automatic. And I'm thinking, what's the difference? Why would they? I mean, if you register for selective services, the DOD knows who you are. So why do we need an automatic registration for the draft for wartime? You want to know why? Because there's something buried within this rule or law, if you will, this statute. There's something buried in there that gives them authority over you, right? If they can already say you have to register with selective services, this is something smelly going on, folks. Something stinks. And I can tell you a big part of it is this, and that is that NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, and Washington, D.C. are getting ready to start a war with Russia. They've already authorized the Ukraine government, Zelensky, and their military to use American missiles and just start lobbing them in to Russia. Now, the special military operation, folks, is supposed to be in former eastern Ukraine. And I tell you what, Russia has been bombing the schnit out of their energy power grid, leaving big swaths of Ukraine in the dark. So what do they think that sending a few missiles over into Russia is going to do? Russia has promised, and they do not bluff. And I've listened to several, you could say, geopolitical experts on the topic, and said Putin is very calculating, an opinion that I shared. Putin is very smart, also an opinion that I share. And Putin doesn't bluff because he doesn't need to bluff. And once you bluff once and get caught, then everything you say after that, whether a bluff or not, will be doubted. In other words, bluffing hurts credibility. It's fine in cards. It's not good when nuclear war is the consequence. So Russia has reminded everyone that there are fatal consequences if they start sending missiles into Russia. I don't know what that means. Does that mean that Putin will drop bombs on civilians in Kiev? Does it mean that Putin will target civilian populations in surrounding NATO nations? Does it mean that Putin will authorize his sub-commanders to fire on, well, American cities or Washington, D.C. with either hypersonic or nuclear-tipped missiles? World War III, folks, is very, very close. And I think it's becoming more and more apparent that Russia and also Eastern Europe, they've had enough of Western, shall we say, corruption coming out of the European Union and Washington, D.C. For example, in Serbia, the Populist Party has won the elections again. And the mainstream media and the globalists are not happy about it. So there's other countries in Eastern Europe that are against much of or all of the demands put on them by the European Union. Slovakia, Hungary, Romania, and even Poland and a few other nations are saying no, 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 and no. I think that Eastern European nations are going to reverse immigration and other European Union demands. I mean, why do they have to go through a huge Brexit type scenario? And to me, it doesn't make any sense. Why don't you just tell them to go pound sand? They violated terms and you don't have to play games with them anymore. To me, it makes perfect sense. I'm not one for playing all these ridiculous games. Not anymore. Not after what they've done. So in addition to those countries I just named, in Georgia, not Georgia down by Florida here, but Georgia, Russia, they had a huge political battle, folks, over this thing called the Foreign Agents Law, which would require anybody from the West going into Georgia, right? If they're working for something, they have to proclaim it. They have to state things. They have to tell the truth. They have to declare who they work for and who's paying them. And of course, if you lie on something like that, well, to Biden, they won't do anything. But if you lie on something like that in Georgia, you're going to jail for a long time because you lied about being essentially a spy. So, yeah, remember when that idiot basketball player took some weed to Russia? Fucking stupid. Took some weed to Russia. She got her ass thrown in jail and was going to stay there a good long time. Except the Biden administration was willing to trade a third-rate, crappy basketball player for an arms dealer, the biggest stinking arms dealer on the planet. Unbelievable. Anyways, in Georgia, this foreign agents law passed. And now the Georgian government has 19 more bills that are aimed at the LGBTQIA plus movement. You can expect in Georgia a lot of non-government organization protests. And as far as I'm concerned, NGO does not stand for non-government organization. To me, it stands for terrorism by organized business and government operations. Still, here we are, folks. They're expecting protests. Folks, the Georgian people want Western trash thrown out of their country. And by the way, Russia is arresting any Pride Month morons who are protesting in Russia, dragging them off the streets. Folks, Russia knows how to toss out the trash. Interestingly, I did catch a video, and I think it was Mr. Skylight sent it to me, or it was Orlando, or maybe both. But it showed a fruitcake with his pride flag in Russia, and he got a cop picking him up by each arm and another one picking him up by a leg, and they just hauled him out of the square. Now, I can't say that I am for that type of censorship, but let's be honest. In the street, if I were to go to a street corner and started preaching the prepared mind belief system, how many people would I contact? How many people would I affect change with? 1, 2, 3. Social media, we reach out and touch thousands every week, thousands and thousands and thousands. So what is the deal with protesting on the street if it is a less effective way to protest, to get people's attention? Well, let me tell you, it's a way to get in people's face and make them start dealing with you. Now, see, I'm not about getting in people's faces. If you want to listen to the message, if you want to learn something, you come here and talk with me and you, all you guys, and we learn together. We think together. We talk about things. Protesting on the street is just screaming in people's faces. Now, if I could scream anything in the face of Democrats today, it just might be surprise, because the one of the founding members of the Black Panther Party has come out publicly to support Donald Trump. Isn't that shocking? Right? The founding member of the Black Panther Party supports Donald Trump for president. And there's a quote that goes with it. Quote, "He's always been a friend of black people." End quote. I find that an amazing statement, especially when you weigh that against Corn Pop Biden and his, if you don't vote Democrat, you ain't black. Remember that? Continuous, folks, continuous insults coming out of the Biden family. So, Biden family, part one, right? The prosecutors went after Hunter Biden in their opening statement. And they told the court, meaning the judge and the jury, that Hunter Biden bought a gun, quote, while smoking crack every 15 minutes. That's pretty interesting. Pretty crazy stuff. And then to continue, when discussing the Bidens, a senator from Iowa, Joni Ernst, got caught on a hot mic talking about Joe Biden and said this: "Never trust a man whose uncle was eaten by cannibals." These people make jokes of themselves, folks, jokes of themselves. Absolutely crazy what is happening in this world. By the way, a juror was handed a bag of cash. A juror was handed a bag of cash to say that COVID fraud suspects are innocent. This just popped up on the news feed. What kind of garbage is that? We've got Trump, who committed no crime, no discernible crime, no explained crime, nothing. Found guilty of the same no crime. But a juror can be handed a bag of cash and told what they need to say. Crazy, folks. That is a perfect example of a politicized and weaponized government. Well, let me continue with that thought along that line of thinking. Senator Tom Cotton was speaking about the verdict with Trump. And he said if New York was a foreign country, America would sanction them for targeting their political opponents. Right? That's what they say. Oh, Putin's a thug. He goes after his political opponents. The hypocrisy, folks, isn't just up to here. It's over the head now. It truly is. It is just crazy. And speaking of crazy and COVID, right, the Jim Jones juice is getting more and more real exposure. Stuff that we couldn't say. I couldn't even mention COVID or the juice. I couldn't mention anything for months, years, right? But now over in the United Kingdom, folks, the Telegraph, that's the name of their paper, it's coming clean with the public. On their front page, the front page of the UK Telegraph, the headline read, "COVID jabs may be to blame for increase in excess deaths." That's a big deal, don't you think? While over in Japan, very powerful political figures are apologizing for telling people, forcing people, demanding people get the Jim Jones juice. This is all happening, folks, at the same time that the World Economic Forum and Dr. Fauci are planning another pandemic. They're planning another pandemic right now. They sure are. Right? They can say whatever they want, but they've been stopping us. In fact, Jolene, I think, has debugged the preparedmind.club and debugged subscribestar.com because YouTube, while they're not removing me from the internet, they're continuing to make things difficult for us and try and hide us. Very incredible things, right? They want to silence and censor us. Kind of like the Clinton stooge George Stephanopoulos wants to silence people, right? He kind of got a little bit crazy when it came to a Trump lawyer he was interviewing who wanted to suggest that Biden was behind the Alvin Bragg, New York City BS sham trial and conviction. But George Stephanopoulos says, I'm not going to let you say that. Really? It's funny how the left, social media, big tech, won't allow someone to share an opinion. It's not that he's saying this is a fact, it's an opinion. So instead of arguing the other side, they want to silence people. That is not going to go away, folks. That's not going to change. It's just going to get worse. It is. Expect things to get worse. I truly do. I sure hope you are prepared for things to get worse. I hope you're prepared for the potential of nuclear war. I don't know, folks, really how serious this is going to get, how fast. I do know that the United States government in Washington, D.C. wants American young men and women stuffed into a woke, homosexual, drag queen loving military and then sent over to a war zone to be killed. Look at how they treat the military in Afghanistan, how they treated the military in Niger, how they've treated the military everywhere. How they treated individuals, how they treat groups, forcing them, attempting to force, lying to people, kicking them out of the military, giving them courts-martial for refusing to take an experimental drug. Crazy, folks. Crazy. And speaking of crazy, the POS Attorney General Merrick Garland decided that, well, he'll go to Congress because, they're going to ask some questions. Well, he testified before Congress, folks, with respect to weaponizing the Department of Justice. And you know what the POS did, Merrick Garland? He refused, folks, to say whether he is coordinating with Alvin Bragg, Fat Butt Fannie Willis, and Letitia James. He refused to say. He could have easily said, no, I'm not. But that would be a lie, right? If he truly is. And if he is coordinating with other people, and he said yes, well, there could be some serious issues there. So he won't say. And it's easy to understand. That means it's because he is working with these slipshod, second-rate district attorneys and lawyers. That's what he's doing. He's doing all he can to jail, to silence, to punish political opponents of his boss. It's unbelievable, folks. It's unbelievable what is going on. I sure hope you are ready for what is coming. You really need to be ready for what is coming. I tell you. And I still think that the meeting that's going to be held in Switzerland, the peace summit that Zelensky has called for, I still don't think that it's a good idea for anyone to attend that. I mean, they're sending Kamala Harris. Hey, that kind of fits in with the program, right? Joe needs to step down. So he's not going to the peace summit. Instead, he's going to go to Hollywood and raise money. Take money, take handouts, right? That's what he's going to do. But they're going to send Kamala Harris. What a great way to get her out of the way. As if, there was a big bomb to go off there in Switzerland. Big bomb. That would be interesting to see. If they get rid of, Kamala Harris, and Joe Biden is too senile to run and he's going to be exchanged. Who does that put in there, right? Can't put Kamala Harris there. She's dead now in Switzerland. So that leaves us Gavin Gruesome Newsom. Look out. And then you've got Michelle Obama. Unbelievable. They don't have any good options, folks. They truly don't. There's no good options anywhere. Okay. Oh, man, I tell you, I really wish that they would just arrest Dr. Fauci. Really. I mean, how hard is this? Everyone knows now. He's admitted. He's admitted too much. I know that Matt Gaetz today, Republican representative out of Florida, Matt Gaetz, you know, he kind of verbally sparred with Dr. Death himself, right? He verbally sparred with him. Did I say Matt Gaetz and Merrick Garland? Pardon me, please. I got some names confused here. I got my scumbags confused. Yeah, Matt Gaetz sparred with Merrick Garland. He's also sparred with Fauci, by the way. But can you believe it? All of these real incredible scumbags in D.C. Merrick Garland, Hunter Biden, Dr. Fauci, Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton. I mean, would you invite any of these people? I wouldn't invite them to a hand grenade juggling contest because I think that hand grenades are too good for them. I think they need to go to prison for a couple of centuries. Ah, boy, I tell you. And they're just continuing to lose and piss off their own constituents or constituent groups that they thought they owned. Kind of like the group of black voters out there, right? Biden attempted to slander Trump on TikTok. It failed. They tried to kill and cream Trump in court. It hasn't had the effect they wanted. Everything has gone horribly wrong for them, which I think is appropriate. It's appropriate considering who these people are and the things they've said and done. What a crazy, crazy, crazy planet. Now, I'm going to do this. I'm going to now switch over to your guys' comments. I do have a massive headache. It's not low blood sugar. It's not too much scotch or anything alcoholic because I'm not drinking alcohol today. Just one of those days. So let's do this. Let's do the inner circle with you guys. That one always cracks me up. I always look just a little overly confused. All right, Mr. Ooman, we got a good crowd. We got lots to talk about today. So let's start and see who has what to say, where, when, and how. Name redacted says, maybe these other countries are telegraphing lost support for Team World Economic Forum. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. When we're talking about Slovakia and Hungary and Romania there's no love for the World Economic Forum. These are Eastern European countries that used to be behind the Iron Curtain. Behind the Iron Curtain. Right? They don't like big controlling government. They don't like it. And when they saw what the European Union was doing by demanding countries open their borders and accept uncontrolled crowds of immigrants to pour into their country, I'll tell you what, Turkey is also a criminal nation, even though it belongs to NATO, because they were funneling hundreds of thousands of illegals into Greece and into southeastern Europe. I don't know, folks. It's hard for me to imagine, even here in America, why anyone would want to open the border and just let in illegals. They don't understand the country. They don't understand the laws. They don't understand the language. They've got nothing to offer us. Yet, here they come, and Democrats, open arms. We know it's about having them become voters. We know that they want to bring them in. California right now is bringing in thousands, if not tens of thousands in the last few weeks, Chinese illegal immigrants. How is any of this going to help our country? How will it help us economically? I can't see it. Team World Economic Forum, you know what they want, name redacted? They want all national sovereignty destroyed. And they hate the Constitution and the United States of America. They hate us. They hate this country so bad. It is very difficult to get a hold of. Woo! Thank you, Mr. Name Redacted. And Mr. Uman, where should we roll next? We've got some stuff to talk about, and it is Mr. Diving Frog. He says, John, you ready to play baseball yet? Patriots versus government pukes. Well, I tell you what, whether you want to call it baseball or piñata time, there needs to be a big stick. In fact, I think it was President Theodore Roosevelt who said, walk tall and carry a big stick. No. Talk softly, walking tall. That was another TV show with a stick. But talk softly, but carry a big stick, right? That's kind of what Putin does. He doesn't scream and yell and go get in front of the cameras and threaten everybody at the top of his lungs like, Biden did when he did his blood red bathed light speech where he screamed and yelled, or the speech where he told everyone, I'm losing my patience. It's just almost like, you know what? I don't care. You've lost your marbles, so losing your patience is the least you need to worry about. But yes, I am ready to play whatever the game is. And I think that's just it. Are you prepared? It's more than just food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. It's more than just having a radio and solar panels and batteries. It's more than that, right? It's more than just guns or gold. Being prepared is up here, right? That's what it is. And government pukes, that is a lot of people, folks, out there. The most common, I think, are, I would say, government sympathizers who just do as they're told. They are they're the sheep of the planet. Right? If the government tells them to go left, they'll go left. If the government says go right, they'll go right. They don't have an opinion. They're afraid. They don't have any convictions. But then there are other people who are on the government side. And these would be your activists and then your radicals. Those are the people that cause us the most trouble. Activists and then radicals. I'm ready to play baseball piñata with anybody that wants to play. It's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. I ran into an Army veteran today, and there was it was pretty interesting. He had never heard the phrase microaggression. And he's about my age. He's a Army veteran, kind of a big tough guy. And I said, okay, dude, microaggression. He goes, what's that? I said, well, it's when someone either gives you a look that they're offended by, or more commonly, a word or phrase that you say. And that also includes wearing clothing, articles of clothing that trigger them. If they feel upset, they consider that a literal act of violence, howbeit, however small. It's a microaggression. And when they meet a microaggression, they are justified, they've been taught, in responding with violence. That's what these people believe. So, folks, I was surprised for such a staunch pro-America, anti-scumbag, weakling, anti-rainbow guy, he really didn't seem to have an understanding of how extreme these people are. And after that, of course, we had several good laughs, because he was telling me he just doesn't give a hoot, period. So look out, folks. When people learn, and it goes along with the rest of their waking up, time to wake up, right? Give them a wake-up call. That's what this show is about. It's about you sharing that internet address right at the top and giving people a wake-up call. Don't give them a choice to stay asleep. They're already asleep. Give them the blue pill, right? No, that'll put them to sleep. Give them the red pill. That'll teach them. Anyways, it's going to continue, folks. There is no way out of it until we get through it, and something very awful is going to have to happen. We cannot coexist. We can't. I cannot coexist with these fruitcakes, these ding-dongs out here, these fruit salad shooting idiots. I can't deal with them. There's no arguing with them. There's no debating them. There's no convincing them of anything intelligent. They just regurgitate what the news tells them to. And the news, when it tells them to become violent, what do you think they're going to do? Well, whether they're just a sheep, they're going to say that's fine, or they're activists and they'll rile people up. And then there's the fanatics who will commit incredible acts of violence. I mean, they were just chasing Mr. Kyle Rittenhouse, weren't they, back in 2020? Chasing a man, threatening to kill him. He fell on the ground. He had to shoot 2 people and kill them to save his own life, and blow the arm off another guy who had pulled a pistol on him to try and kill him. Unbelievable. Truly. All right, Mr. Uman, let's change topics. What else have we got out there? Uh-oh. Uman says, speaking of government pukes. Funny how New York State Senator Kevin Parker, he promoted the Trump assault law. That's what they called it. See, they'll do anything to slander or libel Trump. They'll do anything to slander all of us Americans. Anyways, this idiot, Kevin Parker, promoted the assault law and voted for it. And they did that so that the E. Jean Carroll rape case could go forward. And he is now, the same idiot, Kevin Parker, is saying the law is unconstitutional because he has been accused and it's going to be allowed under the Trump assault law. How perfect is that? Right? In other words, I guess someone with no evidence, no proof, no nothing whatsoever can make an accusation, take you to court, and the court has to hear it, and the jury has to rule on it. I don't know the specifics of the Trump assault law. I just know it's bullshit. The whole thing, BS. But that's the world we live in. Thank you, Mr. Uman, for helping everyone catch that one. That fell off my mental radar. Yeah. I mean, when it comes to, can Tara Reid come back from Russia into New York State and use the Trump rape law, Trump assault law? Can she use that and sue Biden? She's accused him of sexual assault. What about all the women like, well, Paula Jones, Juanita Broderick? Can't they go to New York and file a case against Bill Clinton? Hush money or not? Makes me wonder, right? If there's no time limit, no minimum threshold or standard of evidence. That's the world we live in, folks. Kangaroo courts and corrupt politicians. Are you going to go visit Washington, D.C.? Or do you understand it for what it is? A cesspool of ridiculousness. Okay. There was a topic that Jolene brought up, sent me an email. I don't have it in front of me. Oh, there it is. This came from a Subscribe Star member who asked if I can address the topic of reclaiming personal sovereignty and withdrawing permission to pay federal taxes. Once again, I talk about this every now and then. Every now and then this topic comes up. In the 1990s, I was working as a paralegal when I was a young man. I was attending law school, learning law, working in that field. And I was really curious. I was interested because I read about, well, a lot of different things. That Social Security is a scam. And well, how about that? And so is taxes. So and to own property, a allodial title to your property, that you own absolutely the property. There are all these things that used to be real in America. You used to own your car. Now you have papers in with the Regis, right? The king, the government. You have to registrate, Regis. You don't own property absolutely. You own it in fee simple. Right? The title is fee simple. In other words, you pay a fee to own your own property. And as far as yourself and your own body, they claim, the government does, the federal government and state governments, that you do not own yourself. Therefore, any money you make is subject to taxation. Don't I own my own labor? After all, I'm the one who has to pay all my own bills. I have to buy my own food. I have to take care of myself. In fact, everything that this body does is a consequence of this mind. So don't I actually own me? How do they not own me and are not responsible, yet they believe they can take money from me? So yeah, getting out of Social Security, getting away from the federal government. There were a lot of systems that were being used back in the 90s, telling people how you can reclaim your personal sovereignty. When you claim personal sovereignty, you run into trouble with other sovereignties or organizations that think they too are sovereign. So when a country deals with another country, they deal with each other on a sovereign level. Do you think that that matters? No, it doesn't. Russia is a sovereign nation. So what is the United States doing? Well, they've frozen and they're going to confiscate, that is to say, steal $300 billion in Russian assets. Think about that for a minute. $300 billion in Russian assets. How sovereign is Russia? The United States, through President Biden, the United States government has now authorized Ukraine to send explosive weapons into Russia to kill people and blow things up. What good does it do Russia to be a sovereign nation? Well, nations go to war when there's a disagreement between sovereigns and one sovereign chooses to exercise supremacy over another and force its will upon them. That is how wars start. So I do believe that you and I are the sovereigns, both collectively and individually, because we, the people, own the United States of America. The government doesn't own the United States of America. We, the people, do. But the government has been claiming for decades now that it's sovereign and that we are subject to it. Well, only the king has subjects, but kings claim sovereignty for themselves. So you can claim personal sovereignty as a free American, but you're going to come into conflict with the other sovereigns, government, and they will use guns, just as the United States government uses weapons, guns, missiles, helicopters, and tanks against Russia. The U.S. government has no problem sending killers out to show who really is sovereign and who isn't. It's quite a notion, quite a concept. And you can get lost in your own head, between your ears, trying to figure out how this game is played. Why does the government think that it owns us? Now, Mikey G says you have to reject your citizenship. Well, if you expatriate or renounce your citizenship, your United States government citizenship. Now, the United States government, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17, the United States government and United States citizens, right, are living in Washington, D.C., forts, arsenals, dockyards, territories, and other needful places, right? So they make us, in order to operate as human beings, claim citizenship under the 14th Amendment. I am a natural born citizen. I don't need a government to give me citizenship under the 14th Amendment. But if you renounce that or reject it or expatriate from the country, right, you lose. They will come after you once again and say, you're not an American, huh? We can kick you out of the country. We can take all of your property that we find that's in these United States, these 50 United States. See, they don't make a distinction between a United States citizen and a natural born American. They don't make a distinction. They just run roughshod over everyone. So my recommendation is, don't get yourself in trouble. Don't play these word games where sophistry is the order of the day. Because when it comes down to it, who has the guns in your case? Now, if the whole country in one day said, you know what, we're all sovereigns again, government, you can pound sand. If you try touching any of us, we'll arrest you and throw you in makeshift jails and then charge you. If we did that, this would be a whole nother country like that. But people cannot do that. People will not do that. It is unheard of for that to happen. But government has to do as it's told. Government is actually the servant. But like, I don't know, let's just say you had a business and you hired a business manager to make the business run more smoothly, to be more profitable, to give you less trouble and headache. That's kind of what the government is. We've hired them to run things and make things happen smoothly so we don't have to worry about it. Except now, and in all cases where it's tried, people are corrupt and they take power for themselves and they screw over the true owners. And it's been that way with business and government forever. It's just human nature. When it comes to scumbags that put themselves in positions of authority and then use that authority to enrich themselves, just like Joe Biden, just like Hillary Clinton, just like Nancy Pelosi. They are awful people, folks. Now, if we can, Mr. Uman, I don't know where we're at. Where do we want to go next? Uman wants to talk about the defense that Hunter's team is using. They're throwing out there that the alcohol, tobacco, and firearms bureaucracy, that their form is unclear as to whether you are currently or formerly an addict. And he didn't intend to break the law. So this is actually the Reliance defense modified from the 1990s that says, if you do not intend to break the law, how can you be held guilty for it, right? You're relying on your intent. When I read the ATF form, to me, it seemed pretty clear. Now, I do not think, folks, that the ATF should have any jurisdiction over anyone. That's my personally held belief. I also don't think that Hunter Biden should be walking free amongst all of us. That's also my personally held belief. We're going to find out, though, if the government has a good case against Hunter. I'll be surprised if he's found guilty and thrown in jail. I'll be surprised. Very surprised. I'm actually expecting quite the opposite. I'm expecting Hunter to get off scot-free. Maybe a slap on the wrist, maybe a fine, maybe time served. Did he serve any time? But we do have a two-tiered justice system, or three-tiered even, if you will. It's going to be, folks, outrage and more outrage and more outrage. Standing in Washington, D.C. on the Capitol Hill steps with an American flag on a stick. You do that at certain times, you'll be thrown in jail for years. You'll be called an insurrectionist. You'll be accused of being a traitor and trying to take over the government for holding a pole with a flag on it. But Hunter Biden can do all the things Hunter Biden has done, from snorting coke off of a hooker's butt to speeding through the desert, stoned out of his mind, to shaking down political officials in China, Russia, and Ukraine. And no problem. No problem whatsoever. Woo! I tell you, man, what a week, what a day, what a bunch of SHTF. It is just wild, folks, and it's not going to just go away or get better. We're not that lucky. It ain't that kind of world anymore. Now, NATO, folks, I want to end the show with this. My brains are exhausted. But I want to end with this, that NATO is planning on deploying American soldiers to the front line in Ukraine. That's right. You heard me correct. That there is an organization, there are people out there that are reporting that NATO has plans to put American soldiers on the front lines against Russia. How does that make a lick of sense? To me, it doesn't. It is frightening to think that for political purposes, for the monetary money laundering scheme, they would send American troops in to fight and die. Now, sending them over to Iraq and Afghanistan to guard poppy fields, and of course to fight Taliban and other terrorists, that was awful. But I think the world is aware, America is aware, that Ukraine is a shithole, the most corrupt country in the world, folks. And that's saying something, considering Iraq and Afghanistan and Pakistan and all the other corrupt nations. But Ukraine, we're going to send Americans there. This would be one of the most horrifying decisions this government could make. But just letting Ukraine have missiles is horrifying. All right, Mr. Uban, let us continue if we can. I just didn't want to go to the end of the show without covering that. Name Redacted said, most of our people live in the echo chamber and do not know the adversary. That's an interesting statement. Yeah, most people, they go and listen to things that they want to hear. They go and listen. Right? They want to hear a message, so they go to where they know they'll get it. And so do they truly know how awful things are? Probably not. I try and keep an open mind. I try and go to different sources. I try and listen to people and their opinion. And, all I need to do is know the adversary. Right? The adversary. An ancient translation of that word is Satan. Who's the great Satan out there, right? Well, I'm pretty sure that if you put the words pride together with month, right in the middle, DEMON is there. There's your adversary. These people are crazy, folks. All right, Mr. Uman, last one, and then I'm going to have to go because my brains are toast. Uman says, that's why we're so hard on the folks that are just screaming to the choir in the echo chamber, like the salt, shake, and ree folks, and try to promote intelligent conversation. I do. I think we should talk about these things, right? Not just scream and yell, but talk about them and question all sides, question Trump, question Biden, right? Question everyone in the media. Don't just, there's a few conservative celebrities and news people. Question them, right? Ask yourself, are they really who they say they are? What is their message? But most importantly, I think it's a good idea to get prepared. Wake up, start thinking, and plan out how you're going to protect yourself, your community, and ultimately the country. I am going to check out. I am just completely exhausted, but I want to thank you folks out there. I think I'm going to hit the rack, try and get more than 5 hours of sleep. But I'll be back 0 dark 30 tomorrow. Godspeed. Semper Fi.